everyone, welcome back. Laure here, and I was joined with Cold after the first victory of the week. You were supposed to be playing against a potential 1-3-1 composition, and we know how annoying this can get, especially with the Yorick. So how did you plan on nullifying that coming into the game?
I mean, there's been a little bit of rise of Yorick, and we haven't really seen it too much yet. So it's kind of hard to say, but I think what was our game plan mostly was just to make sure that the Sivir was strong in the game, so we can always control the mid lane, and then from there we can shut down their side. So it was a pretty simple game for us. I think a little bit too sloppy at times. I think we could have played a little bit better, but in the end we won, so I'm happy with it.
It felt like a control game for you guys, and recently you've been playing more for your lanes. Do you think that this plus the new patch can influence on your champion pool?
I mean, I try to see myself as a player that can play any style that is needed. Obviously, the way the meta is going more towards what is comfort for me. So that is always great, but I don't really prefer any of it. I think I also see more mechanical champions as like Lee Sin or something like that. We see a lot in Korea as more of a challenge for me to play, and I play it myself. So I hope I can showcase that on stage sometime, because it's still playable. So. I'm just excited to play League of Legends, honestly. So no big preference. But this is definitely a way where I can showcase my skills. That is not just controlling my champion, but I can also lead the team in the game a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So since it fits you more and you've been more proactive on your plays, helping your lanes, is it what's going to help you guys defeat G2 tomorrow? I know it's becoming a meme, but I have to ask.
I think actually we have a really good chance of beating G2. I think we are right now playing very confident, and what we were lacking in the start was that trigger point sometimes to just go in and play as aggressive as possible when you know there's a good situation for you. And right now we are confident, and I think tomorrow will be a good indication of where we are right now.
Well, I wish you good luck on that, and I hope to see you tomorrow after the potential win. Now, let's send it back to the guys in the studio.
We will beat them.
Thank you so much, Laure. It's great to hear Cold with some confidence.
Yeah,
and you know, speaking really happy, he just loves League of Legends. We love watching him play League of Legends.
He had a fantastic performance on the Gragas, and I look forward to seeing more of it tomorrow as he goes up against the powerhouse.
I love it. We will win, we will win. We're going to quote you on that one, Cold. All right, our next game, SK Gaming stand up against Vitality. Vedius was talking to me and he said he wants to take a look at both teams, discuss what they're both succeeding at, what they both could improve starting the second round robin. Let's start with SK. It's the roster. Dude, how many times have we said self-made?
Pretty much every time.
He is the most pivotal player, and I think it's fair to say that the team success is largely built on some of his plays.
Exactly that. I think the early game pretty much revolves around this man. He finds loads of successful ganks. He's really good at setting up his team, and then the problems come from when it gets to the mid-game.
Okay, so basically, all the stuff we've heard about players, I think we've said a whole lot.
Yes.
So what I want to do today with the viewers at home is just zoom out a little bit and take a look at some of the decision-making and some of the challenges that SK have. So talk me through this clip.
Yeah, so one of the things and one of the issues that SK have that I've noticed is that they have this tendency to group up and try to find a lot of fights. So rather than play around objectives or play for turrets or whatever, they just focus on, okay, let's actually create pockets of darkness and then actually look for a fight. And then it means that they skip steps and it allows the enemy team to stall out. So we're going to show you this clip, and we're going to start off by looking at how things are all playing out. So you can see Vizicachi is sitting in the bot lane. They've got pressure in mid. And at this point, you're like, okay, Baron is spawning relatively soon. It's about like 10, 15 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be up soon. They're setting up vision towards the enemy half of the jungle. So we're going to take a quick look at the minimap, and you'll notice here that they have all this control towards the top side of the map, and you're thinking, okay, this looks great. They have all this vision in this area.
They've pushed mid lane, they've moved into the enemy jungle, they're setting up for Baron.
Yeah, everything looks good.
But there's a problem. You're building me up.
I'm building you up because
okay, so
you're quite right.
What is missing then? Because like Chachi doesn't have TP. I know it looks like he does in the replay, but he doesn't actually have TP.
Yes.
Explain to me what you don't like.
So if we go back to the start, the first thing that they miss is, remember, they're playing around Baron. And when they're grouping up and sacrificing this farm on the bot lane, the first step that they should do is actually set up vision in the river. And keep your eyes on the support Dreams. He's already used his sweeper in the mid lane, and rather than set up vision control in the river, they try to get vision control in the enemy jungle. So again, if we go back to this minimap, what we'll notice is that the river is still littered with wards from Splice. They still have all this information right now about what exactly is going on, which means that they have full control over the game right now. So if we continue to roll the clip out, what you're seeing is SK are trying to group up. They're trying to find a fight. They're not playing for the objectives. They're like, hey, we can trap them. But SK is like, we know where you are. We don't have to worry about anything. Like, we can just push in mid, we can actually send Vizichachi down towards the bot side of the map, and every time SK are moving into this top side, they think they have control of the map, but they miss the first step of, we've got to clear out river, we've got to make sure that Splice have no information of where we are.
Okay, so Splice can play safe, can play controlled. Now, I noticed towards the end of the clip there, SK start to push towards the top. They try to set up a fight in the mid lane. What do you think of the decision-making there, where they kind of try to brute force the 5-man and then go, ooh, no, and now they're backing off to go for the top lane tower?
I don't like it at all, because I think that there's split decision-making, there's a lot of inexperience being shown from SK, and the thing is, when you're trying to force a fight, what you've got to remember is that you want to have the high ground. You don't want to fight on a flat playing field, because then neither team has an advantage, you come in even, right? What you actually want to do is you want to be on the high ground, you want to force your enemies to run up the hill and make their fight even more difficult, and so far, they've just walked around the hill, they haven't utilized it at all, and they're just fighting on flat ground, and this is where Splice sit there and go, well, we'll fight you here, we're more than happy to, and listen, this is how they stall the game out.
This sounds like it's a segment for Strategius in another day. Look, I like the analogy that you talk about the high ground, because SK's opponent tonight is Vitality, a team that has had similar tendencies to this, very aggressive, very sort of bull-headed or focused in their decision-making. It's something that the Vitality of 2018, I feel like we said a lot, you know, skipping steps, trying to brute force decision-making, and now they have the high ground over SK because they're performing very well.
Yes, and the key thing that we wanted to note about the differences between 2018 Vitality and 2019 Vitality is their early game. We remember Gilius, we remember Kikis, we remember these junglers that dictated the pace very much in the way in which Selfmade is currently doing for his rookie squad. And what you'll notice is that last year they were getting early gold leads, they were having huge CS advantages, and all of that has dropped now. They don't have a lead at 15 in all their games.
But they are still explosive. Vitality is this team that can do a lot of very good plays. It's just controlled. It feels tempered now, as opposed to just reckless and like almost about to blow up their hand.
Exactly that. And the thing is, a lot of games that you think that they should lose, they don't actually end up losing. And if we jump over to some of these other plays that we've seen from them, you'll notice that these are kind of the examples of that. And while this isn't in the mid game, there are so many different examples of Vitality recognizing opportunities where they can just squeak out these small little plays, get you to misstep, and then they can go for courageous outplays like this. And this is where the explosiveness comes from, this is where the craziness comes from, and this is what makes Vitality so dangerous once you pass that 20-minute mark.
I also think one of the big advantages that Vitality has in this style of play over the likes of SK is their individual players just on average are of a slightly stronger caliber.
Yes.
I think it is an uphill battle, there's no doubt about that. Vitality are the favorites, but we see glimpses of that style in SK, and it's just about refining it if they want to pick up a good fight today.
It certainly is, and I'm hopeful that SK can challenge that of Vitality. We have seen that their early game has slowed down. Maybe that's where SK get their lead, and maybe they just have the confidence to properly set up those plays that can get them through those mid-game issues.
Do not skip steps or you lose games. Let's see if SK have cleaned up their plays they take on Vitality.
It's a good question. Quick shot. Now I'm Dracos. This is Indiana Frostgurn Black. I don't have any other names. It's just Dracos these days. And interestingly enough, I think that's a question we've all kind of been wondering about SK, is how they're going to execute. Because we see those early games. And we see a man like Selfmade step up so incredibly consistently for a rookie jungler. Now it's just about figuring out the steps after the early game. What comes next? How exactly they're going to perform here. And I think this game could answer a lot of those questions.
I feel like there is an opportunity here, whereas Vitality, yes, they're 6-2 right now, but if you really take a closer look at a lot of these victories, Vedia said it on the analyst desk, you know, some of those games felt like Vitality shouldn't have won, that it was just kind of the Vitality effect that took over, that they were able to make these miracle saves, because there is a lot that's going wrong in kind of the mid to transition towards late game, so SK can pack a punch there if they can get their ducks in a row.
see what state they enter the mid-game in as we enter picks and bans. Now, a lot of questions as to what is going to be taken off the board here. We've seen the rise of crit 80 carries. You guys talked about it earlier today. Sheffius talked about it earlier today as well. But for now, a lot of the bans remaining the same. Lucian, Draven taken off the board. Obviously, Draven only getting stronger with some of these crit changes. And Karthus and Cassio, also no surprises.
We had a lot of questions coming into ban phase, especially for red side for 9.3, just because a lot of the staple ban champions like the Aurelia, the Akalis, and the Aatroxes have seen a lot of nerfs go through. So it should open up a lot more versatility in terms of your strategic playstyle about how you're going to focus and target ban people out. But Draven kind of seems to be the one big staple that he's constantly coming out.
Turns out people do not like dying to Draven, which is pretty understandable. Snowballs, we've all been against that fed Draven. We all know how it goes down, and Braum now going to be the last ban here on the side of Vitality. So bot lane, really the center of attention.
Yeah, and that makes sense. You have a guy like Attila in this game, so you don't want to give him a lot of firepower like the Draven. Sylas, I actually think, I was talking to Ender about this. I think that Sylas still works fairly well on a red side counter pick, because then you kind of get to check out the field of competition, see what ultimates you have available to you. But we've seen a lot of Sylas bans go down on the blue side, and I think that while he's still a high priority, even though we haven't seen him executed in the LEC, that he's constantly going to sit there until someone is able to get their hands on this champion and really show what he's made of.
And I want to see when we're going to get that opportunity to find Sylas, but for now, he is not going to get locked in. Instead, we are going to get the Urgot first pick, most likely going in the hands of Cabo. That is his most played champion at 4 games. This will be his 5th if he does select it, up against Warlib Scion, and of course the Alistar locked in for Dreams.
And I had 3 things that I wanted from a Vitality draft. I want Cabo on a carry, I want Jizuke on a comfort pick, and I want Mowgli on a playmaker. Now, normally that means it's something like Mowgli's Olaf, but something that he can impact the early game, and we already got 1 out of those 3 things with Cabo taking a huge pick like Urgot.
And now, so we're seeing the Caitlyn locked in as well, locked in very early into the Alistar. Of course, some unique options there with the net to get out of the headbutt pulverize. Now potentially paired with the Morgana. Ooh, we heard rumors about this lane on 9-3. It is going to get locked in, so a lot of pushing power. Such an obnoxious lane to play against.
Now, Alistar is a great comfort pick for Dreams. It's been one of his more successful champions. He looks more comfortable on it. That said, usually Alistar's played with the Kai'Sa, and Vettix talked about it early on today. I'm going to echo the sentiment. I feel like Kai'Sa in the current itemization, that pros haven't really decided how they want to build her. With the adjustments to Stormrazor, you can no longer just grab that as a first item, so I think that they will pivot on the ADC pick, and it's no longer just about the Kai'Sa Alistar combo, but now the Alistar Jinx.
And interestingly enough, this is still going to be such a difficult combo to execute in terms of early laning phase. Black Shield mitigating all of the potential CC that could come out here. Not a ton of magic damage between these two. The LeBlanc ban will follow up, but it does feel like this patch, Frostgurn, always points us back to talking about the bot lane, because that is where the vast majority of changes have happened.
And I'm super excited to see Jinx. I am a Jinx one-trick, so anytime I get to see this champion shine, she gets possibly one of the biggest bang for her bucks on first item Infinity Edge, because she gets those AoE crits.
And it's huge, right? And of course, interesting to see. Last patch you would have called the first item in Infinity Edge hard trolling. It was, but on this patch it's just such a generalist, strong item. We'll see if we get the Runans into the Infinity Edge. What build Crown Shot wants to take on this one, as the Sejuani will be taken off the board for Selfmade. Now that's Selfmade's most played champion, and that is a champion where it feels like every single game he's getting at least 1 kill in the early game.
And we kind of talked about the win conditions that Vitality wanted from draft phase. For SK, I wrote down 2. Crit carry on Crown Shot, already got 1 because we have the Jinx, and I want Selfmade on a playmaking-oriented jungler, same thing as Mowgli. These are both jungle-centric teams. Everything revolves around their jungler in the early game, so even though he doesn't get the Sejuani, he's got to find something. That doesn't necessarily mean early game. He can still go for the Zac, but it must have high impact in forcing plays to happen.
And the Olaf has often been that default go-to pick. Vitality loving those strong pushing lanes and allowing Olaf to just ruin someone's day in the enemy jungle. He doesn't even have to go to the lanes. He doesn't have to support them. They're winning on their own. He wants to shut down the enemy jungler. We'll see if that is what's going to happen with Mowgli here. Enter the second ban phase, the Yasuo, the LeBlanc, the Kennen. We've already talked about the Sejuani and Crown Shot, now deciding what exactly they want to go for on this lineup.
And they are going to reveal if that is going to be a Scion flex. We expect that it would be in the top lane, and this is a wow, that's a blast from the past.
This is a classic draft. The Rocky Mountain Oysters comp coming through. You got the Alistar along with the Orianna here. And I mean, very old school in terms of how you want to open up a fight, but I do love the headbutt pulverize into Shockwave. It's going to be a difficult one to pull off, though, against a champion like Morgana.
And that does mean that the last pick will be for Selfmade to find the counter pick or find a better matchup against Mowgli's jungle, which looks like it's going to be a Jarvan possibly. So again, you're still looking for early playmaking, something that has dueling potential that has to keep up with this guy.
And I do love the ganks to come in from Jarvan. Of course, the flag and drag is such an easy way to get fights started off. And it does, as you said, fit right into the Mowgli wheelhouse.
And it does dissuade them from also taking the Olaf. Now, he can still grab the Olaf. Self-made is who I'm talking about. But picking that into Jarvan, Jarvan can just lock him into the ultimate and deny a lot of what Olaf wants to threaten into the backline.
And now going to have the Zoe locked in, so a lot of pick potential actually coming through on this team with the Jarvan to kick the fight off, the Morgana binding, the non-committal CC of both the Morgana and the Zoe in the form of Sleepy Trouble Bubble. So it's going to take some smart positioning here from SK. If they walk into unwarded territory, it feels like they do just get deleted, but they respond to some of this pick potential with some playmaking potential of their own. I love seeing champions like Lee Sin in a game. It does mean that Selfmade is going to be on a way more aggressive pick than we're used to seeing him on. The Lee Sin, a good look.
And while 9.3 has been pushing us back towards those crit ADCs, the only thing that I have a problem with in this SK composition is that they don't have a lot of damage threats. You know, you have like the Orianna, the Lee Sin, and the Jinx, but you compare that to all of the damage threats that Vitality have virtually in every single position, in every single lane. And it feels like the teams in the LEC that have been most successful, the likes of the G2, are having carry options abundantly in every position.
And of course, that is one of the beautiful things about the patch, is how many different lanes you can opt to carry through. And I think right now for Vitality, I'm just wondering if we are going to see that patient, slow start where it's more about just winning lanes slowly via CS and tower plating, or with a pick like this Jarvan, if we're going to see these explosive early games. Because with a lane like Caitlyn Morgan, with a lane like the Urgot, it does feel like there's so many points of power for Vitality to play around.
The Vitality staple has been have those pushing lanes, get Mowgli in the jungle. The last time we saw them against XL, he didn't leave Kadril alone. He was constantly contesting him, even over camps like Wolf Camp. And like you said, it's got all the setup there that he can be obnoxious on that Jarvan. But what Vitality's composition is actually really good at is sieging. That's a Jarvan with his flag, that's a Zoe, and that's a Caitlyn. If they ever get ahead and approach a tower, it's free.
I just want you to live in the nightmare state, ladies and gentlemen, where you get hit by a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and then a binding, and then a trap. And if literally nothing else hits you and you survive, you're still going to be tilted off the face of the planet. And that is the nightmare scenario for the members of SK.
And if they're good at sieging, it means that SK must be on point with their engage options. They do have an abundance of them. The Alistar, the ball delivery service with the Orianna, as well as the Sion and the Lee Sin. But can they pull the trigger and be decisive enough against Vitality to punish them in the mid-game?
Well, that is exactly what we are going to find out, Frostgurn. It is time. Vitality versus SK. What are we going to see here? And for now, we're going to have a slow, dramatic zoom in as there is a pause. We won't even tease you with the gray screen, folks. I'll just tell you there's a pause. We'll give you more context. We'll find out why. But that does give us an opportunity to talk about what we want to see in the early game for Frostgurn. And I'm curious, because I know what Mowgli does. And I know what Selfmade does on Sejuani, but it's been a while since I've seen him not on Sejuani. So talk to me about this Lee Sin. What do we expect from Selfmade early on?
I mean, I think he just wants to kind of find opportunities. He's got a lot of counter gank opportunities, and he can look to duel the Jarvan. So for me, I think it's kind of stabilizing his lanes. You know that Vitality are going to push forward. We know that their players have really high forward percentage. They're constantly spending a lot of their time in the river past the midway point, which opens them up to ganks. So that's what I want Selfmade to do. I want him to capitalize on kind of the over-eagerness or over-aggression that Vitality have been very prone to.
And that's I want to see, because we just haven't seen a team super punish that yet. Often Mowgli's been so in the enemy jungle that it's been difficult. We did see Kika successfully punished against Rogue, but we are now going into game. It was a small cable management issue, but if you've ever had your mouse cord drag off the side of your desk suddenly, you'll understand why it might be important to have it smack dab in the middle of that desk. Here we are, Vitality versus SK. Vitality already going for a little bit of early information, kicking that Poro out of his own jungle. Ooh.
Mowgli.
Selfmade definitely feels okay about this one. Lee Sin level 1, crazy strong, but Urgot just shoots him in the face.
Information, though, about where the junglers are starting, the fact that Vitality got the wards onto the red buff, so very early on trying to make sure that they know exactly where Selfmade's going to start. In fact, also sending him back home to go heal.
Okay, so to be fair, when we looked at SK and we said Selfmade dictates the pace of the early game, apparently Vitality were listening or came to the same conclusion on their own, because he's not even going to have time to back.
Yeah.
He's staying here. This is warded. This is I mean, it's a Lee Sin, so he's going to be okay, but this is a brutal start. He's already burned both his refillable stacks.
Which just means that he's going to have to grab this, possibly look for an early back, which may slow down his jungle tempo, but that's fine. Again, he's sitting with a Sion, an Orianna, and a Jinx. It's not like Selfmade needs to have something happen in the early game for this composition to come alive when they're all hooked up.
And good guy Warlib is nice enough to come over there and give him the early game leash. So still doing fine in terms of health clear. Will get a little bit of lifesteal back from the Iron Will as he goes further into these camps. Definitely not an ideal start, whereas Jarvan on the bottom side, usually a much weaker clearer, does get a solid leash and is going straight into that blue buff. But little does he know he's been spotted out.
And you can see that Selfmade's actually rushing over there, and there's a lot of health on Pyrion if he also wants to make a rotation.
Oh, Selfmade thinks he knows where Mowgli is. Mowgli was waiting for Selfmade, though.
It's got red.
Who's stuck in here with who? We have to ask. Selfmade now jumping back and is going to walk away. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that this is classic Mowgli. This man lives in the enemy jungle. This is exactly what he's all about. And Selfmade is just going to have to give up that blue buff. Vitality getting this early game to play out just the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, and paying off for how important that early vision is. Mowgli did this to Kadril. He's now going to do it to Selfmade. He will contest you for every single camp.
That's 10% of his time from 3 to 15 minutes in the enemy jungle, folks. Now that's crazy, because most of the time he's going to be walking to the enemy jungle. So the fact that when he gets there, that's how much time he spends is absolutely nuts. First in the league overall. And of course, the interesting thing about that is that it's set up so much by these aggressive forward-playing lanes from the side of Vitality. And I think anytime we talk about playing forward, we do have to talk about Cabochard. This is a guy who 49.4% of his time on the enemy side of the map in this lane. And you can already see it here up against Sion, just hard shoving in.
I think it's kind of an interesting relationship in terms of like jungle proximity, because we saw that while Mowgli was super high in terms of contesting jungle camps, he's not spending a ton of his time around his laners because Vitality open up space for Mowgli. Mowgli doesn't open up space for his laners. Yeah, he'll come to a gank if it's free, show up for a counter gank, but Vitality's whole style is just to blitz into your jungle repeatedly.
This one might be free. Pyrion just walks straight into that bush. Electro already going to proc. He's now trying to walk away, and the flash burned immediately. We just said it, Frost. If it's free, he's going to take it, and Pyrion kind of just gave it to him.
Also hurts more because he doesn't have access to the TP. Now Jizuke is holding the wave, so he should be able to walk it back and not lose anything. But not having the flash, he'll get a repeat gank again, no doubt, especially against Zoe Jarvan, so he has to be super careful. But at this point, Jizuke can start punishing, holding waves away from him, and denying a lot of that CS.
And that's, of course, just such a difficult spot to be in for the Orianna, because once a few more levels come into that Zoe's bell, she just auto-clears the wave, and will be a little more difficult. For now, I think Attila and Jack Troll playing this lane very much the way it's intended. You do see the trap come down. Dreams is going to take a lot of poke there, but lane pressure across the map outside of the top lane for Vitality, and Cabo immediately going to go for the play. Mowgli is here as well. Warlib now running for his life, has already burned the flash, the flag, and dragged the flash to extend. Warlib now caught out, goes right into zombie mode, but they've already taken him down. Vitality, clean ganks here in the early game.
Beautifully executed. That is quite a hard flash to pull off there to make sure that you can get the displacement and the knockup. In response, Selfmade's going to see what he can get, maybe sneak down through this tri-brush. It is unwarded.
And the Alistar's there for the setup. They have the Ignite the Flashes. All summoner spells available for both sides. Selfmade really needs to get something done here. If this game goes wrong, it could turn against it, but they've already ignited Jack Troll. The Black Shield did not come out fast enough. Selfmade just buying his time, waiting to land that perfect Q. Does connect on Jack Troll, but good patience to flash out when he's right next to Attila for coverage.
And big loss for SK there. The fact that they expended so many more summoners just trading for the Morgana flash and didn't get anything for their time.
Heal as well, but you're right that it's definitely not what they needed, not what they wanted in the exchange already. 5 minutes of the game, Frostcorn, and we have a 1K gold lead for Vitality. Very aggressive, very dominant early game from this lineup.
And now, where do you attack next? Mowgli can continue to blitz into this jungle, or he can maybe pay a visit back to Pyrion. We talked about how Jizuke is now looking to punish this flashless Orianna by either through invisible pressure, drawing her out, maybe killing her.
And we know from watching so many Vitality games that it feels so bad to be on the back foot up against this lineup, because they are a team that is willing to do crazy things, that is willing to go for these aggressive ganks. Creative pathing, definitely something we associate with them. Good news is Pyrion is still doing a good job of keeping up in experience, keeping up in farm up against this Zoe. Level 6, of course, a lot more raw power for the Orianna than it will be for the Zoe overall.
Her ultimate actually does
Her ultimate does
a bit
damage,
more for.
turns out. But don't underestimate the power of the hippie hop.
But this is what Jizuke wants. He wants the wave to be pulled forward.
It's the slow. Level 6 comes in for Pyrion.
And he wants to lure Pyrion away from the safety of his tower and just give Mowgli free roam. He doesn't even have to make the gank work, because Pyrion's going to have to start choosing. He'll lose vision on Jarvan and eventually have to be like, I can't take the CS, because if the jungler's here, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's right now just a steady incremental advantage building up for Vitality. Jack Troll just trying to stop some backs, put themselves in a better spot in terms of lane control. We check in on the CS and the items, Frostburn. Nothing standing out quite yet. You do have the Jinx going for the early BF sword. No surprises there. And the farm, pretty decent advantage coming in for Attila, but other than that, nothing too large.
Just the lonely Krug.
Self-made. The pity Krug, I think we can call this one. I didn't quite want to spend that much time for a Krug. I'm too busy going for your Raptor camp, it now looks like.
Yep.
Difficult spot. Capo, though, going to go in. We're going to have immediate action on the bottom side as well. Vitality getting aggressive in every single lane. Dreams with no level 6. He's still going to try to find a stun. He knows he can try to turn this one back. Nice heal coming in as they find the kill. Jack's rollover still.
From downtown.
Oh, my God. The three-pointer onto Warlib was not ready, but SK do get that kill on the bottom side, punishing the over-aggression coming in from the Vitality bot lane, but Cabo immediately getting a kill back on top side, so it's not going to make too much of a difference. 1K gold lead still coming in. Pyrian getting more aggressive. Snap pulling it back. Self-made on the way in. Wants to land the Sonic Wave. The flash out from Jizuke. Mowgli is here. Pyrian at Zoom. Are they going to go for the extension here on the play, or are they going to back off? Jizuke very low. Cannot overcommit here.
Jizuke is constantly playing on the edge. Every single champion, doesn't matter what his matchup is, but finds the flash to dodge the Sonic Wave and saves his life there.
Self-made wrapping around too. You can tell both these teams are ready to fight. Oh, everyone is here. It's a party in the mid lane.
Just want to get that wave shoved in so Jizuke can get a bit more of a free back. But yeah, felt like the observers weren't ready. Warlib wasn't ready. That was a long-range Urgot ultimate. Can't wait to see the replay on how that one happened.
They just can't be in two places at the same time. Frostgrave, they can't.
Against a Vitality game, you have to, though. It feels like action happens in every single lane.
We're bringing back 2 streams just for Vitality games, so you can watch the top lane and you can watch somewhere else on the map, because Cabo is probably going to kill somebody. 2-0 already. We're going to get to watch exactly how the bot lane exchange happened. And Dreams, I got to say, this is a very aggressive call, but I like that he had the gusto to go for it.
And he knows that at this point, if he backs up under the tower, they'll lose the trade. We talked about how Dreams' comfort pick is on that Alistar. Come on, show me that. There we go.
There we go.
What happened here?
So Warlib, oh god, he gets hit. And then Cabo just goes, yeah, oh wait, it's cool. Hey buddy, not a great ult, but at least it looked nice. Ooh, yeah.
I don't get to see that interaction a lot. That was fun.
The slow motion Urgot ult is just vicious. I'm just glad it's the Robo Scion skin and not real person or real fleshy Scion. It's a little grotesque for me.
Anytime you use the word fleshy.
Yeah,
probably.
maybe not. We check in on the bottom lane, though, and that kill has it seemingly reinvigorated Crown Shot and Dreams on the bottom side of the map. Self-made also feeling a little bit more comfortable to play around the bottom side. They do have to respect Mowgli. Both these junglers a little bit off their Warrior Enchant, obviously significant boost in damage. Going forward, Attila going to kick him back right as he sees it. Clean play, waits for the Black Shield, and then just instantly commits to the Morgana. SK firing back in this early game.
Beautiful combo right there, and that's exactly how they want it to work. Although Pyrian does need to be careful. If that connected, it could have been disastrous. Not a lot of mana, though, on Jizuke.
Absolutely the case, and of course, as we approach 10 minutes, the gold is suddenly evened up. Gotta say, SK, after what was a pretty rough start for Self-made to the jungle, have done a very good job of making the most of a difficult early game this Lee Sin, getting a lot done on the bottom side.
Unfortunately, though, it's still a long way before this Jinx is really up and running. The Dragon, just kind of I don't want to call it a pity prize, because Cloud can mean a lot, especially on a composition that can struggle to find engagements outside of the Scion ultimate. That movement speed is always going to be incredible, but you know, it just feels bad to win the bottom side as hard as they are and not have access to something like a Mountain, like an Infernal.
Difficult spot for sure. Drake RNG, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But Frostgarden, it's interesting, once again, I want to shift our attention to the AD carries and the itemization coming out, because you brought up that Jinx feels like one of the strongest users of this Infinity Edge, and she is getting closer to that point, but another really strong user is the Caitlyn, just due to those kind of crits built into her kit. And I'm just curious, who's actually going to be able to take off in this bottom lane? Right now, it's Crown Shot 2-0-0, something I didn't expect to be saying when we headed into this lane.
And it feels like crit ADCs are also a really nice band-aid for Crown Shot's performance. He really kind of struggled as we shifted more over towards the Lucians and the Ezreal. He wasn't as impactful as the likes of someone like Upset. He was more known as a Xayah player, you know, back in the Spanish league. So something like a Jinx fits better into his MO, and you can already see a lot more confidence coming out.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is how greatly 9.3 has changed. We already saw Fnatic earlier in the day, and now we see Boots 2 coming out along with the pieces for IE, so it does feel like Crown Shot fully committed to just rushing that Infinity Edge as quick as possible.
And it is a pretty standard way to itemize through the initial rush for IE by completing your Zerker's Greaves and then having the 2 flat AD items from the Infinity Edge. It allows you to push the towers really well because you have the attack speed as well as the flat AD. So this tells me that Crown Shot just wants to shove this one in, and if Self-made is successful in the bottom lane, they can start stacking all their members down here and try to break a very early structure.
And Jinx pushing power is, of course, legendary. The minigun attack speed steroid early on is so good, and last time we saw this champion, realistically, we won't count that one game that it got played by Fnatic, kind of fell south, there weren't tower plates. So now it just feels like when Jinx has a lead this early in the game, those plates are just, free. That just has her name on it. Just write Jinx on the tower for her. Just let her know that all of that gold can go right into her pocket with this kind of push pressure.
Which is why all of the pressure from SK is now mounting down here. As you can see Pyrian constantly cheating down here. They're throwing down all of this offensive vision into Vitality's jungle. So what is Mowgli's counterplay?
For now, it looks like he's focusing on Pyrian. Pyrian burning through a lot of that mana pool, but he's smartly playing towards the bottom side where he has Selfmade to back him up. And Selfmade, very confident stepping into the jungle here, not afraid to go toe-to-toe with the Jarvan after the initial health disparity we saw early on.
So your options are, because you have the TP from Cabochard, you can try to match down here, or Mowgli and Jizuke would then try to have a party up on the top side and split them out.
Mowgli pulled back. They're going to try to burst him down. It looks like they are going to be able to get it. The kick, not going to be necessary. Pyrian coming through. Kick comes out. Going to snag that one as well.
Yeah, indecisive. They try to walk into the jungle, which SK have owned, and walk straight into a trap. Very well done.
Well played. Now Crown Shot going to be able to grab a few more tower plates. Once again, so much gold just being funneled into this Jinx. Selfmade is here as well. They've got the Demolisher proc. This is going to be tower first blood going into the favor of SK and Vitality. That confident 1K gold lead we saw just a few minutes ago just absolutely deleted. It's SK in control.
And now it's about where did they go next. The formula should be that because it's Cloud, there's not a huge priority to play around the Dragon, that they can now swap this up into the top. And again, it's kind of onus on Vitality. What do they do to put a hurdle or a speed bump into SK kind of rolling through the numerous steps of this early game?
Yeah, and Warlip, despite going very far down in this lane in terms of dying twice, in terms of, the CSR discrepancy of 15, he's holding on to this tower. It is difficult for Cabo to just run face first to this tower, and Jinx is not going to have that problem if they go for the lane swap. It is a difficult spot where your most fed member, the Cabo, with this huge bounty, can't get a whole lot done.
Just picking up free farm, he can still be quite a big threat in these team fights. That's where Vitality have defeated a lot of teams when kind of their plans went sideways in the mid game. They just find a big team fight and then rocket into a Baron.
Ooh, and now I'm wondering if they want to take a big team fight, if they want to go for that, if that's going to be what they look for now. We do see, as predicted, you talked about swapping the lanes. Sion going to be left to hold on to that bot lane tower as the trio of the Alistar, Lee Sin, and Jinx are going to set their sights on the top side of the map. It feels like they're going to need to pull in some backup if they want to win this 3v3 on the side of Vitality, because you can see Dreams, the way he's moving in that bush. That is a bloodthirsty cow right there. That is a pajamaed up, bloodthirsty cow. He is looking for the play. He's looking for an opportunity.
What do you do in your pajamas?
I'm saying, I just want to specify because I feel like this skin deserves more attention than it already gets.
Which one is that?
This is Pajamaster, is what I'm going to call it because I forgot the real name. But for Pajamaster right now, he is a walking death trap because while his damage may not kill you, the CC will all but guarantee your death. And the Black Shield of Jack Troll, when you're at a deficit, not that scary. However, Rift Herald will be the focus for SK as they move in. Vitality, this is the arena they were waiting for. This is the fight that could help them turn the game. But they're not going to contest it. They're going to give that one up.
And we talk about how SK are a very clean, fundamental League of Legends team. I do want to point out, Pyrion rotated over early. He made sure that the wave was shoved in. Sion was even moving up, which is why Warlip is late to pick up this wave down here. So all of SK were aware. The call is the Rift Herald. They've moved their top laner over. Their mid laner has already cheated and locked out Jizuke. And so a very nice, crisp, methodical pickup of the Rift Herald.
It's a good look, and SK not skipping steps here in the mid-game. They've started to build a lead. They're going to keep trying to grow it. We have to see where the Rift Herald goes, though. That's going to be the big question. It is in the hands of Selfmade, so for the next few minutes, going to have to keep our eyes on that Lee Sin. He's going to dictate the pace of these towers falling down.
And you have you have two major options. You can use it in the mid lane because you're competing with Zoe's Wave Clear. That can be obnoxious. Force it down with the Rift Herald and make it a non-factor so you can break this open into an open map. Or you can team up with this Jinx. And if you use it on a big creep wave and Vitality overstep, you can possibly push all the way through with this Herald.
And Mark, they're definitely going to be able to break this first tower. You've got a Jinx here. You've got the Herald coming in as well. So this one is going to fall to the ground. SK will push their tower advantage up to 2 as a little wave clear comes in for the redemption there. Not going to mean too much at this stage, but this is a big question because we heard about it on the desk. And SK transitioning what has suddenly turned into a very solid early game into a more powerful mid-game state when those towers are knocked down, when they need to make smarter, cleaner macro plays. It might not matter because Mowgli's just going to get solo killed, kicks him, follows him over the wall, the flash out, and they're going to back off, but in comes Dreams. Rocket just goes a little bit wide. The flash Q, Selfmade now wants to follow up. He says, Attila in my sights. Realize he bit off a bit more than he could chew, but Jack Troll is already dead, and Cabo can't cancel that TP, but he's going to be able to use the ultimate. The fear will come out. He flashes right in the middle of the team, now trying to go all up against everybody. Cabo and Attila versus the world. Crown shot running for his life, flashing out. Purian should have brought back the ball, but just could not. Too much damage coming in as Jizuke takes down Lee Sin on the backside. That is a violent fight, and suddenly Vitality very much back in the game.
Yeah, biting off a bit more than they could chew, SK Gaming there, because it was a huge bounty that was gifted into Attila's pocket, I believe. Cabo, also still a massive carry, 3-0-1, still sitting on his own bounty, and repeatedly it feels that when Vitality start to struggle a little bit in the mid-game, the two members that you can count on, Cabo Shard and Jizuke. These guys' ability to play the team fights, to play the map, open up opportunities for Vitality to pick back what have been some fumbled early games.
And when we look at this play, Frostgurn, I love the way Selfmade plays Lee Sin here. Patience, make sure he gets the free Sonic Wave, waits for Mowgli to run before he follows up here. And Crown Shot, a bit rough there, but the flash forward, Selfmade is happy to confirm it. Waits for it as he leaves, and Jizuke will come and clean this fight up here, but I like the patience with which Attila plays this, just slow and steady, knowing Cabo can be the frontliner here. And the Jinx, yes, she does a lot of damage, but she is quite squishy, and Cabo is incredibly strong. Attila flashing forward with that headshot to bring it down, to bring in the shutdown, and overall, just solid for Vitality to turn what could have been a disastrous situation and to finally put Cabo's advantage to good use.
And really unfortunate timing in that the Chompers was used early on the Morgana. Didn't even lock her up. That when the teleport came in, you didn't get the free lockdown on the Urgot TPing in on a minion.
And now it feels like Vitality are looking to up the pace of this game, Frostgurn. They smelled blood in the water. They've evened up the gold. Yes, there are two clouds on the side of SK, but it's not going to mean a whole lot. They're just looking to trade towers for now, clearing out the creep wave, but SK is still going to break down the tower. Attila will respond with one of his own on the top side.
It still feels like SK do have a bit of tempo in this game. However, again, now that the map is open, their composition does thrive when they are put up together. Because it is a lot of long-range poke and siege options from Vitality, champions like the Alistar, like the Scion, and the Orianna Shockwave are going to be incredibly important to force fights so that Vitality can't just set up and try to siege these structures.
And I'm glad you mentioned fights, because we heard it from Vedius and Quickshot, and I just want to reiterate. These teams like to fight, Frostgurn. Look at the amount of kills both these guys get from team fights. Almost 40% of Vitality's kills come from team fight. Even more from SK. You said it, first and second in the league in terms of how much team fighting they are doing.
Which is strange because, again, if you look at Vitality's compositions, the fact that they're playing a lot of LeBlanc and a lot of Ryze, yes, those champions can thrive in the team fights, but it feels like Vitality have clinched a lot of wins that should have been losses because of their ability to play side lanes. But it just kind of goes back into the aggro tendency of this team that if you try to brawl with them, Vitality will brawl back. I just feel like SK's composition is a bit better suited for that.
And we're waiting. We've seen Clutch Shockwaves decide, I mean, whole games if Purian can find one here. He's done well so far, but of course struggling up against the Zoe. Not really an opportunity for him to get in range, for him to find that clutch engage or that clutch ult opportunity. And Frostgurn, if we're talking team fights, outside of random fight on the top side of the map for a tier 1 tower, what are we looking at next?
You want SK to fight front to back because they have the range of the Jinx as well as the AoE crits. And for Vitality, you want to make sure that you land that right there. Jizuke needs to lay down the poke, use the range of the Zoe and the Caitlyn, find these headshots, find these trouble bubbles, and then look for the all-in engage.
For now, both teams playing for that vision, hoping for that ideal setup.
It also means that SK need to be much more respectful in how they deny vision away from Vitality, because any information against a Zoe is going to allow her to play fish in a barrel.
Oh,
Here we go.
Has to be careful. The flag and drag misses, though. That's huge. He's going to have to burn the Cataclysm. They're not going to be able to kick him back, but he's locked up. But no one is there to follow up. Mowgli has given his life for nothing. Missing that flag and drag cost Vitality so much. Attila and Mowgli both down.
And this happened in the Rogue game, and it happens again in the SK game. Attila specifically, the guy who's being caught out. And without your jungler, without your ADC, this could be a free Baron for SK.
And SK, they
gonna
have
try to
cleaned up that
contest.
mid game. They have found that pick. They might just find this Baron, but Cabo is ready and he's moving in. Jizuke and Jack Troll ready to follow up as well. Have to be careful. Have to respect the Urgot. The ultimate's coming out. They're trying to burn down the count, but the heal is coming in to stop Dreams from getting picked off. They are going to be able to use the ult. That's the multi-man fear. They are going to be able to get the Baron in the end for the side of SK, and Cabo runs into the entire team. He's just not quite strong enough. shut down right onto the Jinx, right where they want it. Jizuke running for dear life, trying to get something back, but there is not enough fancy footwork in the world. SK in absolute control.
And Jizuke was trying to be the superhero. He was trying to pull it back for his team, but like you said, just wasn't enough in the tank for him to be the difference maker. Now SK with a huge 4K, approaching on 5K advantage.
And this replay brought to you by Alien, where we take a look at it one more time. Now eyes on Attila and eyes on the flag and drag. Beautiful use of the combo from the Orion and the Alistar, and just Mowgli. There is nobody around to respond to that engage. Whiffing the flag and drag is the insult to injury, but ultimately Dreams and Purian making that come together. And here,
I mean, it was an attempted, like, you can't steal it. You have to fight them. You know you've got the Zoe. Unfortunately, she's low on mana, so I don't fault Vitality for looking for that play. It was just lose-lose. They shouldn't have gotten picked out in the mid lane, and SK punished.
and now they're set up for what could be a very easy siege. You've got the range, you've got the engage threat from the Alistar. Vitality doing what they can for wave clear, but they do not have an Orianna on their side. They got the Zoe, they're trying to poke back, they're getting good damage down, but the tower is the focus for SK. Now the ultimate has come out, immediately gonna get the engage from Mowgli, though he's kicked right back into the fight. They're trying to back up. Still, SK remain in control. Brief pause here, patience as they push into the base. They have lost no one, and Mowgli is already dead. SK very much in control. Jizuke leaping over the wall, praying to land one of these skill shots.
Huge credit to Selfmade right there, making sure he was... Oh, that was a clincher. Making sure that he was standing next to Crown Shot to kick out Mowgli as Jarvan came in.
Sion TP coming in as well. Gonna tank some of these traps. Attila not nearly enough damage to shred through. 3-item spike is there for Crown Shot. We'll check in a moment if it's there for Attila as well. 80 carries could decide the next fight. No doubt the late game team fighting is in the favor of the Jinx. Firing out, Jizuke trying to land a bit of damage. Goes golden. Can they follow up here? Jizuke is gonna flash out to safety. Binding's there, no one wants to follow up. Beautiful shockwave, but once again, no follow-up. SK backing off, knowing they have the advantage, but period! Put your hands back on the keyboard, boy, you can't be doing that!
Jizuke is a one-man army. I know Cabochard picked up the kill right there, but the amount of fancy footwork and the stall that Zoe is outputting here is keeping Vitality alive.
Now they're just running. Vitality chasing. They know they need to get an opportunity here. Jack Troll throws the binding forward. It does connect on Dreams. Mowgli going in again. Fearless. They are going to pick off the cow. The Fear not going to connect to anyone else. Selfmade looking for the retreat. The knockup is there over the wall. Crown Shot running. Not a lot of mana for that Jinx. That means those crits are not going to be long-lived on the Rockets. He's going to have to pull back here for a brief moment. SK do manage to retreat. Still have a bit of Baron time. Mattel has to be careful here. Selfmade not going to go for the aggressive play on the Sonic Wave. Vitality getting what they can, but still losing the inhibitor. Selfmade going for the play. Oh! Woo! Is this man playing solo queue or LEC? Frostburn, I can't tell sometimes.
I mean, that definitely felt like solo queue.
That felt like solo queue.
To be fair to Attila, probably didn't expect that.
I mean, do you in a competitive game expect the flash over the wall from the Lee Sin?
They've got the vision to do it, so there you go. Looking at this retreat, the flash binding there from Jack Troll. I know that I just gave Jizuke a ton of praise. At this point, though, it was SK just running with their tails between their legs and Cabochard just mowing them down. Still a very powerful Urgot.
Of course, and now here,
give me that flashy
lands
play.
the first Sonic Wave. We're going to hold it for a second so you can appreciate this moment.
So we can track him. He knows where he's going.
Oh, he doesn't even need the flash. Oh, he doesn't even need it. I was wrong. He kept it.
Got the Sonic Wave, so he has vision around the corner, finds the ward in the Pixel Brush, and then finds the ward by placing it over the wall for the hop. Well done.
And I just want to point out that that is a serrated dirt. This man is building lethality.
He knows what SK is about.
On the LEC stage. He knows. 41.4k for Vitality to 45 for SK. All 3 dragons in their control. They have that Elder Dragon win condition available. Attila throwing out ults, just hoping to get some damage down to slow the advance of this SK lineup. Now the Baron buff is gone, so Vitality probably hold on for a little bit longer, but they are definitely running out of time. Only 2 items on Attila. Brutal spot to be, as Jinx has already finished her 3rd, as well as the QSS.
He's just here for wave clear at this point. You can see that Dreams is trying to see if he can get an engagement over the wall. Here he goes.
Binding, going. The flash forward, not going to be able to get... Ooh, fantastic Black Shield comes in from Jack Troll to stop that one. The focus, though, is on the inhibitor. Want to break this one down. Weren't quite able to grab it earlier. That was my mistake. I thought that one was dead.
Jizuke saved the day. Saved the day right there again. And SK have been stalled. Vitality, the iron defense on that single inhib in the mid lane.
And that's going to be very important. Without that constant point of pressure, will be a little bit more difficult for SK to get these major objectives. But now Selfmade is just looking for picks on his own. This man is a one-man army waiting, and if Jizuke walks into this... Oh, good portal jump. That was the safest warding option there was, and Selfmade did not follow up.
You saw the cheeky ping from Selfmade on Attila in that mid lane.
The perpetual fear of playing in a game against a Lee Sin who can one-combo you is not something I would wish upon anyone. And Jizuke is living with that fear, but despite that, is still walking into his own jungle to place vision.
And it's the mechanics in the single rotation fear from Lee Sin. Now just imagine that Orianna's about to be level 16, so you're gonna have 3 points in the ultimate. Now, we know how dangerous Selfmade is. Now place an Orianna ball on him and have him rock into the middle of that team fight. SK are gonna feel real confident approaching this Baron in 20 seconds. Now they just need to do the due diligence, clean out all of this vision, deny Jizuke his ability to go fishing with a lot of these skill shots, and take the free objective in the win.
So let's talk about the setup. If Baron's going to be all too important, we need to talk about how SK are going to get it done. Now, I know mid-priority is important, but walk me through the steps past that.
Okay, you want to make sure that you have mid-priority so you can get your triangle vision down. Now, or you can just two-man it.
Or you can sneaky two-man it. Now, SK mixing it up here. The very strong Lee Sin.
Vitality have no idea because they see 3 members in the mid lane.
SK with the creative plays here. I like what they're showing us in the playbook. They don't need to show us clean, classic macro plays. They've snuck it.
Look at the mini-map there. Vitality actually pinged to the dark side of the bottom side of the map because they didn't have vision. So they were assuming that someone was sitting in the darkness looking for a possible engage as soon as they stepped up. So completely blind to that Baron play.
Still scared about where Selfmade could be sitting. It counts against them. The 2-man Baron coming through. The courtesy, that Mountain Drake definitely paying off dividends there. And now the siege is going to start on the top side. Alti comes out. All right, fishing for those sleepy trouble bubbles. Once again, we're looking at Jizuke. What can he find to pick? 3 items still not there for Attila. Backing off, looks like they will give up this tier 2, but Jizuke still landing those clutch skill shots to half health people.
And huge shout out to Warlip, the fact that he's splitting up Vitality because he's trying to force feed these minions in through the mid lane on the Scion.
The opportunity, there's Dreams calling out the time to go. Selfmade waiting for the opportunity to kick them back in. Eyes on the shockwave, it does pull them right back, delete it, and now the follow-up. Jinx is just gonna tear them down.
It's over.
All too easy. She's excited. We're excited. Vitality are looking like they are going to get knocked out here by SK, trying desperately to turn it back. Selfmade, though, coming in for the hero play. Dreams still alive. Will finally go down, but there's the rocket, and Cabo needs to be running. They're not going to let him back to the base. They say, you can stay out here while we break this down, and Crown Shot going to use the Jinx. The Orianna from Pyrian. One final beautiful fight coming in from SK as they absolutely destroy Vitality in their first match of the week.
Huge win for SK. We had a lot of questions. You know, some of the support staff, structural changes, Broken Shard moving in over Sheepy. The team not able to kind of turn the page from Mad Lions into SK Gaming, but they make it work. The 9.3 meta band-aiding Crown Shot. He no longer has to be on Ezreal and Lucian duty. He can grab those crit ADCs that he's much more recognized for, like the Jinx, and make an impact.
And to me, it felt like Ezreal was the band-aid, right? Where that was not his comfort zone. That was not the champion that you wanted to see him on. But now that he's back at home in his turf on these crit 80 carries, he's looking good, and so many resources were funneled into him. And look, playing against a Fed Jinx is just a nightmare. And we got to see it unfold firsthand.
Also, huge credit to Selfmade on the Lee Sin lethality build, making sure that he had 100-0 kill pressure.
A single serrated Dirk was like, I will not finish the Black Cleaver. I will get this serrated Dirk. And I like it. I like the confidence coming in. And once again, we see Vitality with this incredibly dominant jungle start, where they've shut down the opposition using that power of Mowgli and some creative pathing, but just not able to sustain it. And this one, Selfmade striking back.
And you have to start asking questions of Vitality. You know, a lot of people just gave them that automatic 3rd place spot in the standings because they've only lost till this point to Schalke and G2. But Attila and Jack Troll are constantly being caught out. They're constantly struggling in a lot of these 2v2s because they are a feast or famine style of lane. And it feels like Vitality are being splintered out before they actually get to abuse some of their cross-map play.
Yeah, I did not get to see that this game. It was SK ahead of the curve, and once SK builds up those big gold leads, and they had that Baron buff, they did just get to destroy in the top lane. So let's check out how SK secured this win. And, oh, that pick was so clean. And it's just so tragic because you see these moments where Vitality just cannot quite coordinate the play. They're a little bit behind, and single mistakes count them so much. Cabo Shard, of course, getting the Urgot, Frost Current. It was a noble effort. Him and Jizuke against the world trying to hold on to this one, but it was simply not enough.
And it was also very untimely picks for Vitality to go down. The fact that it was right as the Baron was spawning, and when you do have a Mountain Dragon, when you do have a Jinx past 5 points in her queue, she can shred through any of these objectives. had my questions about such an early Alistar priority. I know that Dreams looks fantastic on the champion, showcasing why when you give him such a powerful, strong engage that he can punish Vitality's mispositions on an open map.
And at this point, they're just playing a little TDM outside the base, you know. These kills, the game is over, but they're just playing for a few extra kills. And the story of this game is so well illustrated by this goal graph. I want you to look at that part where Vitality in the lead. That's that controlled early game. That's shutting down Selfmade. Now let's see if we can find the point, Frostgurn, where Selfmade starts to get to play League of Legends. You'll notice that's the part where it gets really orange. And that's the important part for SK.
Again, shout out to Jizuke and Cabo. They tried. 2 men against the world, but wasn't enough to compensate for some lacking cohesion, I'll call it, from the bot lane.
And definitely some high-risk plays made by SK to try and make their way back in the game. Of course, we're going to have an interview with SK's rookie jungler Selfmade after the break, see his opinion kind of on how that game unfolded, how it worked out. But if you thought Selfmade, Crownshot, or Dreams had a good performance, you need to vote for them as your key player of the game. @ LEC Esports on Twitter is the place. And this is a hard one. It's hard not to get
I don't think it's hard. I actually think it's just Selfmade. I think it's very easy.
But that Dreams headbutt pulverized to set up the period delivery system.
Don't get me wrong.
Kill Attila.
They were all good.
Baron. It's tough. All right. Well, last place Rogue are making a big change to turn things around, bringing in 2 new players for the game against Schalke and Null Fear. More on that when we return. Warlock now.